Hey guys, I'm Nicole and I am back with a Spooky Time podcast. And today I'm going to be covering the suspicious death of Tamla Horsford. And a lot of people say it Tamla, and I will. So I'm just going to refer to her as Tam because she actually liked to be called by Tam or Tammy. So I'm just going to go with Tam because that's how everybody always referred to her. And I'm going to start off by prefacing this with I have actually heard this case several different times. I've listened to several different pods. I believe Morbid, Creep Tom, and That's Why We Drink are just like a few that have covered this case because it really does deserve more eyes on it. Like, I wish more people understood this case and knew about it. But even locally where it happened, a lot of the locals don't even know that this happened. And it just I'm gonna get into it. But she deserves more than what she gets. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I couldn't do another child death, so I'm trying to stay away from those. And they're heavy. So this case is also pretty heavy. It's not in the same way because she was an adult, and children are children. But I honestly believe that Tam was, just chilling. She was vibing. She was having fun. She's a mom to 6 kids. So she didn't get the time to just go out whenever she wanted. I'm sure it was a really rare occasion for her. So she was like, yeah, we're going to go. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to have a really good night. I'm going to unwind. And she did not deserve what happened to her. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump back in. Alright. So Tam was born on October 10th, 1978. She was a mother of 6 children. 5 of them were her biological children. But her husband had a daughter from a previous relationship. I don't remember if it was a marriage or just a relationship that ended up in a pregnancy. So I'm just gonna say a relationship just to not misconstrue anything because I don't know, but I don't believe they were married. But Tam was a dedicated full-time mom to all of the kids. She never treated their daughter as anything other than their daughter. She never singled her out. She never left her out of anything. She was always included. She loved them all equally, regardless. That was her child, even though it was not biologically her child. She was always known to be present for all of the kids, every game, school function, award days, you name it. All of her boys, I believe, were into football, so she was always carting them around, and that's exactly what she liked to do. She was so smart, and she could have done anything that she wanted to do, but what she wanted to do and loved was, being a mom to her kids. She was not from Cumming, Georgia. She was living with her husband and the children there at the time because her husband had gotten a new job, or he had relocated to there from his job. I don't know if it was new or if he just relocated to a different area for his job. But he was there for a job that I do know for a fact. And unfortunately, that is also where she would be at the time of her tragic death, which occurred on November 4th, 2018. So we're late September of 2023 right now. So it's been about 5 years. And a lot of these cases lately have actually been hitting like around this time, which is good because, like I said, all of the cases that I've covered, I feel need more eyes on them. Like, a lot of people don't know a lot about them. This one is really, really not well known. Like, even locally to where she was from, they don't know this case. It's bad. It was really kept out of the media, and I'm not sure why, but it's I'll get into that later because I do believe I know why, but I'm not gonna get there. Tam was only 40 years old, and like I said, she was a mother of 6 kids. So she was at an adult sleepover. They were there to watch a football game and to celebrate her friend's birthday. John Myers. Maybe it was. Alright, so Tam was only 40 years old at an adult sleepover. It was kind of like a small gathering of friends, but it was to celebrate Jean's 45th birthday party. Jean was the host. They were also watching a football game while they were there. So, like, everyone was intending on, drinking, having a good time, and they all had plans to either just crash somewhere in John's house. A few had rides, like with their husbands came to pick them up, or stuff like that. But most of the people, I believe there was 8. So 5 of the people that were in the party: John's aunt, and her boyfriend. So I'll get into that later. But there was 8 people that remained in the house, the next morning. So there was more the night before, but a lot of them had either, got rides or left. So John, who was the host of the sleepover, did not invite Tamla to the gathering. Tam's friend, Jean, I'm gonna say it's Jean Myers, who was attending, invited Tam. And as far as I understand, John had no prior knowledge that Tam was even coming, like, until she showed up. I don't believe anybody but Jean knew. And I'm gonna explain why that matters, because, like, this happened in Georgia. I'm from Alabama. I still live in Alabama. So, usually we don't just, like, invite outside people without the host knowing, especially if it's not a, like, huge house party. It's just a couple of friends. So, just, like, that one thing just kind of, like, she should have ran it by the host, saying it was at Jean's house. But Tam was not a white woman. She was actually referred to as the friend from the islands by Jean's aunt, which is a racist term. So I said it was in Georgia. Forsyth County, Georgia is extraordinarily racist, like as many other states used to be. And like I said, they relocated there because of her husband's work. So, a move with 6 kids after you've settled in and, just moved for a new job isn't always feasible. And a lot of, especially now, like the housing market, it's insane. And with 6 kids, like that just couldn't happen. Coleman, actually where I live, I'm born and raised, used to be a sundown town, and I'm just going to briefly touch on that because I don't want to get deep into it because it takes away from her case, but it pretty much is like if you are African American or a person of color, then you don't need to be anywhere after the sun goes down but in your home. And that's pretty on point with how this still is bad. And even though current days is not nearly as bad as it was 50, 60 years ago, I was always anxious for my friend who was black growing up in Coleman, and she's had hateful comments thrown at her, racist comments. So I couldn't even imagine what she would have gone through. But in Forsyth County, they actually had a population of about 1,200 people of color, so 1,200, and that number actually decreased to 5. They decreased from 1,200 people of color to 5 in the entire county. And I believe they said it was about 10 to 15,000 people in the county. So yeah, just do the math on that. It was a very, very, very small percentage. That should speak volumes. Okay. In addition to the 8 women that came to the sleepover, there was also 2 men in the home on that night. They were there to watch the game, and they knew that Jean had planned all of this for her birthday, and they didn't want to be involved because it was supposed to be a girls' night, only women, a girls' night party. So they actually stayed in, I don't remember if it was the basement or the downstairs, because Jean actually had a home theater. So they just stayed in there, watching movies, whatever, and just kind of left the girls alone. That's innocent enough. They're just chilling in the basement, watching whatever. And those men were Jose Barrera, who was John's boyfriend at the time. He was a law enforcement officer. I believe he was working as a probation officer at the time, something like that. And Tom Smith, who was there with his wife, Stacy, and she was attending the sleepover. So I guess he had plans to just kind of drop her off and then realize that Jose was there, maybe. I don't know, but we're just gonna keep an eye out for Jose. Remember him, because he does become a bigger part of the story in the end. Alright, So the sleepover was supposed to begin at around 7 p.m. as kickoff for the game they were watching started about 8. And like I said, it was also to celebrate Jean's 45th birthday. Tam arrived around 8:30 p.m. as she was prepping a meal at home, for her family while she was gone. Obviously, you got 6 kids and a husband. You got to make sure they're fed. And good Lord, that husband ain't about to cook. No shade. But you can't leave the man to cook for 6 kids. And all of the witness testimony stated that everyone had brought like a different bottle of alcohol for Jean. She was the birthday girl. It was her birthday party, whatever. So Tam had actually brought her a really nice, expensive bottle of tequila that was from Mexico, but Jean did not accept the gift as she did not like tequila, and she just said no. She kind of made a ew face at it and just went for something else. And I don't know if that was just because it came from Tam thing, or because it was just she just didn't like tequila. I really don't know. One of the podcasts went more into Jean was making fun of her, but then others didn't. So I'm just gonna stick to what I know, that she brought her the bottle. It was actually really nice. It wasn't a cheap bottle, and she just didn't accept it. Which honestly, even if somebody brings you a gift you don't like, you say thank you and take it, even if you just give it away to somebody else later. So that's kind of rude. Around 1 a.m., the party was mostly dying down. So some of the people began getting rides home, or, settling in for the night in John's home. Like I said, Tam was a mother to 6 kids. She did not get time to herself to unwind. So she was going all out. She was, really buzzed. She was having a good time. But, she was never drunk to the point, she was, stumbling or falling down or making a scene. She always was reported to hold her liquor well. Even from her husband, she was always able to hold her liquor well, and she never caused a scene or anything like that. So Tam did bring a small amount of weed to the party, which they took outside, in the backyard, I guess on the back deck, just smoke. Tam and a couple of the women. And I guess she didn't know that Jose was a law enforcement officer. She probably knew that he was there, just didn't know that he was a law enforcement officer. Which, he was county. So he probably wasn't going to make a big deal about it at a party. In his girlfriend's house. So, Jean informed them that Jose was there. He was, law enforcement. So, Tam was no biggie. She put it out, and, they just went on and continued the party from there. And Jean's home actually had an Xfinity security system, which notified her of when the doors to her home were open, what time and which door it was. She also had security cameras, but unfortunately they were not working, or they didn't have batteries at the time of Tam's death. And if I remember correctly, it was because of her ex-husband. I think her ex-husband, when she was getting a divorce, kind of started stalking her or something like that, almost DV case. I'm not for sure, so I'm just gonna say that it was, just for her own documentation and safety. So At about 1:47 a.m., one of the women left Jean's house through the front door. If I remember right, it was Bridget, one of the guests. And that was according to the notification from the security system. And Bridget also reported seeing Jose still awake. He was going into the basement because he forgot his phone charger. A few minutes later, there was a record of the back door being opened at 1:49, and that was the door that Tam had been using to access the balcony where she had been going out to smoke throughout the evening. She smoked cigarettes, so she was going out for a cigarette. At 1:50, it was opened again and closed. It's speculated that she probably forgot her phone or her lighter, something of importance that caused her to go back inside the house. At 1:57, the door was opened again and was never reported to be closed again. So either the door wasn't latched properly, or the system glitched, or something happened for that door not to be reported as closed again. But remember, it was a balcony, so it was about 14 feet off the ground, so it's not like somebody could have just walked in. And it was pretty late in the night, so I don't think anybody would have. Regardless, at around 4 a.m., one of the other women left to go home to start getting ready for her first day at a new job. But apparently somewhere said that she didn't have to be at her job until about 9 a.m. So why she left so early, I'm not really sure. But that's just what happened. Jean's aunt, Madeline, who was sleeping on the basement level of Jean's house, woke up around 8:30 that morning. According to her statement, she was about to make herself a pot of coffee when she saw Tam outside. Madeline said that she went to her, kneeled down, and started to pray. Not call 911 or to check if she was breathing, but to pray. She went to Jean's room. We guessed that she was looking for Jose because he was a law enforcement officer at the time. So he would have known what to do in that case, or that's what I would think. If I had a first responder and I found something like that, I would go to my first responder and be like, hey, this just happened, help, because their first responder, they know what to do in those cases. So she claimed that she heard water running from the shower inside of Jean's room, so she didn't knock. She paced around for about 15 minutes and then went back, and the water was shut off this time. So she knocked, and Jean answered her with a come in, as she was still in bed. But that doesn't really make a lot of sense, as she heard water running. So Madeline said that, quote, her friend from the islands, who was Tam, was face down in the yard, not moving. So Jean and Jose got dressed, went downstairs, and called 911 just before 9 a.m. Jose stated that when he got to her, she was already stiff. She was in a planking position, arms and legs completely straight down by her side. So definitely not a natural position that if you were to land in, if you jumped or fell off of a, 14 to 17 foot balcony. So the railing of the balcony was about 4 4.5 feet, and Tam was about 5'5", had been drinking and smoking weed. So, I honestly don't think that it's plausible that, she could or, would have been able to pull herself up and over that. That's just my opinion. All of the witnesses stated they found her body in the unnatural position, but this is actually not what the coroner and police report stated. The police report stated that she had, her arm up by her head and one leg up, that was reported to be in a natural position. So someone had to have moved the body from its original position, or even tried to, I guess so they could cover it up and maybe just not have to work the case, because they were like, hey, closed suicide is a lot less paperwork and, just work in general than a homicide. So, like I said, the community was still pretty racist in 2018. So, it's pretty rough. The coroner was actually openly racist and was fired from his position, I believe, in 2020 because of a picture he posted. So it was rough. Her case, sorry, that was my phone. Her case would eventually go to the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. So I'm just going to call it the GBI because it's easier. Due to the lack of manpower and resources from the small town of, Forsyth County, Georgia. When police arrived at the house, all of the remaining partygoers were left inside of the home together in the same room. The same day that Tam's body was found, John and Jose brought the police a Dunkin' Donuts gift card, and Madeline was baking cookies while her body was still in the backyard. There were police still there, still present. Tam was such a happy and lighthearted woman, and she was in high spirits, for the night. She was planning to have a good night. There were no fights, no conflicts, no reason for anyone to want to hurt Tam. Her body was found with multiple fresh lacerations, a broken wrist, and a broken neck. She had severe head, neck, and torso injuries, but her nose was not broken. Now remember, they're claiming that she jumped or fell from at least 14 feet off the ground and landed face down, completely straight. She had a blood alcohol content of 0.24, traces of THC and Xanax in her system that was not yet metabolized, so it was taken shortly before her death. She was not prescribed Xanax, did not use Xanax, and no one knows how she even got a hold of it. Bridget was one of the women at the party. She was prescribed it, and she admitted to having it on her, but she denied ever giving it to Tam. If it was because of, she was drinking and she just didn't remember, or she truly just didn't give her any, we don't know, but she did admit to having it on her, so I'm inclined to believe that she didn't. All in all, Tam's injuries and how her body was found is not consistent with a jump or a fall. There are two theories on how she died, one being the obvious suicide, that she jumped, killed herself, which is frankly bullshit. It definitely not happen like that. Alright, so, I don't believe that she jumped. It's not, as many times as I've heard this story, it has never been what I believed. So, the second theory is actually based around Jose. Remember, he was the last one that was known to be still awake and inside the house with Tam after Bridget left at 1:47. It is speculated that he had somehow slipped Xanax into her drink, waited for it to kick in, when the party was starting to die down, before he would attempt to, sexually assault and or kill her. He was a law enforcement officer in a small town. She was a person of color. You're not supposed to mix alcohol and Xanax because it can have really bad side effects. So, it was like I said, she was 5'5", pretty intoxicated, but she did hold her liquor well. And, Jose was a law enforcement agent at the time in the same county where this took place. And why we really kind of hone in on him is because he was later found trying to access the confidential police report to see what they knew pertaining to her death and who they were looking to as suspects, and he was fired. He did not face any legal consequences, of course. And, since I said John was suing people for defamation of character, so, I tried to stay away from anything involving her, but, I have a good feeling that, she knew or at least suspected that Jose was involved somehow. I don't think they planned it, or if he planned it that she was involved. I don't believe that, but I do believe she kind of had a feeling, and she just was she didn't want to believe it because that would just kind of draw her in, and I wouldn't want to be a part of that if I wasn't. So I couldn't find any information on whether or not they're still a couple. Jean and Jose, I don't. Alright, so like I said, I don't believe that Jean has anything to do with the case, but the GBI did rule that Tam's case was a suicide by falling, which I sincerely do not believe. Thankfully, it has been reopened, and hopefully she does get the justice that she deserves, because, like I said, I don't believe that this was an accident or that it was a suicide. It might have been, something that caused an adverse reaction with the Xanax and the amount of liquor that she was drinking, but I don't feel my gut feeling is that something more happened, and that this was just a case of they wanted to try and bribe, and they wanted to try to cover this up. And I don't I'm not gonna say that it was Jean. I'm gonna say if anyone was gonna try to cover this up, it would most likely be Jose. Just because he's the one that we all look at, and he was law enforcement at the time in the same county where this occurred, and he was in the same house awake at the time. So unless it was just something just randomly happening, I don't believe it. So I'm just gonna end that here, and I'm gonna hope for the best in the search for what happened to Tam. It honestly looks pretty straightforward to me, but what can I say? Alright. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time.